right, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's Saturday morning Mastermind. If you're new here, we're reading the book by Matt Kahn, Live, Laugh, Love, or no, not Live, Laugh, Love. Oh my gosh, sorry. A book by Matt Kahn, Love Whatever Arises. Love that. Oh my gosh. Hang on, please give me just a second, bud. Give me just a second. All right. Now that we got that book out of the way, we're on chapter 9, page 154. Willingness to be honest is the name of the chapter. I did that all kinds of backwards, but we're here. I got through it. Welcome. I'm Angel Studebaker down here in South Carolina. I'll let everybody else jump out and introduce themselves now again.
Yeah, Jason Roberts here, Tampa Bay, Florida.
Good morning, it's Samantha in Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome, Lori. I saw you just jumped on. Can we hear you?
And Karen was just on. Just internet might have.
Yeah, I think she's still struggling with the internet being choppy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lori Emmons in Denver, and really being tested today to love whatever arises, because every single thing seems to be wacko, and spilled liquid on my phone yesterday, so my computer is whacking out. I'm just trying to just love what arises.
I hear you there, Lori. I hear you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Oh, there's Karen again. Give her a second to reconnect her audio. See if she can jump out and introduce herself too.
And I will just say that I am having an overload of Matt Kahn. I have really been connected with him this week and got his next new book that's just totally amazing. And just, I can't even express myself right now. So overwhelmed with it all. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Lori. That sounds great. Yeah. I wish I could jump out there.
We hear you.
That could be fun. For me, anyway.
Oh, I think she's just really struggling with her internet today. All right. Well, I'm sure she'll try and jump back on. Oh.
Yeah.
It's totally a connection issue. All right, go ahead and start reading, Jason, and hopefully Karen will be good.
Okay. And I urge everyone to reread the passage before this if what we're starting on doesn't quite make sense. It's talking about interactions with people. So this part where we're starting on page 154 of the book, at the bottom, a willingness to be honest. The cornerstone of conscious communication is a willingness to be honest. The importance of honesty cuts to the core of how much you have placed all your faith in greater cosmic picture of the universe. While so many people know that life has a bigger role for each of us, the only way to demonstrate, anchor, embody, and trust in life's supreme plan is to be totally honest. When you're honest, you honor whatever response comes as a result of your most authentic sharing. Despite how drastically the snow globe of your reality might get shaken up, this only occurs in order to guide your journey in an exciting new direction. In time, You may see how this redirection was always meant to guide you into a far greater reality than you may ever have found without trusting the perfection of the universe. One moment of honesty at a time, you allow the precision of life to swiftly deliver you into the paradise of your highest destiny. In order for such a destiny to unfold in the most elegant and miraculous way, it is important to allow the wisdom of your heart to become your inner compass. When you are willing to speak your highest truth in the presence of another with the utmost love and compassion, it demonstrates how much you trust your divine guidance to reveal the exact words you need to hear. If through your honesty you end up losing opportunities or relationships, those may appear to be worst case scenarios when you are attached to outcomes that differ from life's supreme plan. Even when the odds seem stacked against you, that could only be a brand new chapter of growth and expansion revealing itself out of the ashes of what thought was supposed to occur. The integrity of honesty. Before you can be honest in the presence of another, it is essential to learn how to be honest with yourself. This requires a courageous depth of integrity to become aware of how you want others to treat you so that you can be that way for others, whether or not they're able to do so in return for you. As a way of understanding what it means to live in integrity, you can ask yourself the following questions. How would I like someone to listen to me when I am in the depths of turmoil or writhing in pain? If I had something to say, how would I want others to listen as a way of helping me to feel heard, nurtured, and cherished? Whatever comes to mind in response to these questions becomes the gifts of integrity that you are destined to provide to others. This can help you uncover the true meaning of integrity as a willingness to act, speak, engage, and listen in exactly the way that you would want anyone else to be with you. By maintaining integrity as a conscious communicator, you always create opportunities for everyone to evolve, even if the behavior of others does not meet the standard of your values. Even when it's your turn to speak, integrity invites you to declare, in the presence of others, your unwavering trust in the supreme plan of the universe by how passionate, transparent, and honest you're willing to be. And did you want to read on, Samantha?
Let's go ahead and just read that last section too, and we'll finish out the chapter. I'm sure it all kind of goes together, so we may as well. It's a short section.
Okay. Did you want me to? All right. The healing practice of frequency matching. Whether between friends, coworkers, lovers, or parents and children, there is an energetic practice called frequency matching that can inspire more conscious communication. Regardless of the type of relationship, frequency matching establishes an agreement that whenever one person feels unheard or disconnected, it invites both hearts to work together to find a common vibration. As part of this practice, either partner has the right to say, I'm feeling disconnected from your heart. I'm having a hard time connecting with you. In response to this feedback, both partners engage in frequency matching by holding hands while looking into each other's eyes. The object to this match the object is to match each slow inhale and exhale of your partner so both are breathing at the same relaxed and gentle pace at the same time. As both partners align their breath for a minute or more, a common vibrational frequency allows their hearts to entrain and feel supported so that deeper conversations can resume. as a healing exercise to help you open to the practice of frequency matching, you can look into a mirror and take a few moments to gaze into your own eyes. If you find it difficult to make full eye contact with yourself, simply slow your breathing and look for as long as you can. The point isn't to resist blinking or to gaze with any strain, but to open up to a more fulfilling connection with your innocence by facing yourself directly. The more often you face yourself, the easier it is to welcome the vulnerability of others without the fear of being hurt or rejected. Expanding the potential of any personal encounter always begins with establishing a more intimate relationship with your heart. Through slower breaths, engaged listening, repeating your personal love statement, complimenting your innocence, and being more honest with yourself than ever before, you become the first person you are sure to heal as a way of inviting your light to shine. From the space of vibrational alignment, relationships become the redeemer of truth and the transformer of victimhood. No matter how misunderstood you seem to feel, you can infuse any experience with heart-centered consciousness simply by choosing a more inspired way to respond.
Thank you, Jason, for reading that. We really appreciate that. Well done.
Thank you.
I came into this morning with, I woke up, kids were downstairs screaming and yelling and whatnot. The dogs were whining and crying and throwing a fit, and I woke up and I was like, feeling pretty calm. And then I come downstairs and for whatever reason, I'm just like angry. I don't even know what I was angry about. I was just angry. And I'm like lashing out at the dogs and at the kids, and I'm like, here we are as a group, the Saturday Morning Mastermind Mindset Mastery Collective. But here we are as this group reading this book that's Whatever Arises, Love That. And I'm realizing as I'm going through my morning being angry that I'm not loving whatever it is that it's arising. I'm resisting it. I'm being angry about it. And I'm not even sure why. It's like the craziest thing. And I'm thinking to myself that I'm like not being in integrity with what we're trying to do here on this mastermind. It's like I don't know. It's so crazy. It's like we try and work on ourselves and we try and do better and we try and be a better person. And yet then in the moment when things are happening in our lives, it feels like it's almost impossible to embrace these things that we learn and we study and all of those things. But yet I recognize that it's happening. I recognize what I'm experiencing in my life, and I guess that the best thing I can do is just recognize that and then go forward and work towards trying to embrace these things that we're learning. I mean, I guess that's all we can do, and what's funny is I could be in the communication, we're talking about being honest in our relationships and in our communication. And I think a lot of times when we lash out at somebody is that we're not honest with why that just happened. We actually are like, oh, it's your fault because you're being this, or you're acting that, or it's the dog's fault for peeing in her cage, or it's, whatever. It's because I woke up too early, or the kids woke me up, or whatever. But in reality, the real honest thing is what I already said, is that, I'm not sure why I had anger. I woke up and I had anger, and I don't even know what the reasoning was behind that. And And so to have an honest conversation, because, you know, when I lashed out and I came out and I sat on the swing and I kind of sat there and I drank my coffee and I'm just thinking to myself, what the heck just happened? And so when I went back into the house and, you know, and my daughter-in-law's there, and my son and the kids, and I'm like, you know, I just want to just kind of talk about this moment that I just had. Because it wasn't really at them. It was, I lashed out at the dog more than anything, but everybody was present for it. And, and I started talking about how that I was just feeling in the moment and what I was experiencing, and that there was no reason for it, and then when I did that, then my daughter-in-law, she expressed some of what she was feeling this past week with the kids and everything else. And why are we angry? Why are we, I mean, it's just this lack of patience thing, And so we actually had like real conversation versus this whole, I feel like, I was reading a book just recently, and in this book, the woman is talking about how her true love, she's like this man that she got with, and they were so in love, and they got married, and then within just a few months, they were struggling to the point that then within a year and a half, they're already divorced. And I'm like, oh my God. Listening to what she was talking about with their communication with each other and their inability to be honest in what they were really feeling, and that they were just lashing out at one another and not even realizing what the other person was really upset about, because they weren't really communicating what they were feeling. They were just lashing out and assuming what the other person was thinking or feeling towards them, and that probably wasn't even it at all. They were just like, projecting all of this baloney from their own lives onto the other person. And then, further into the book, she's talking about how much she's out on this adventure, and she's like wishing that her guy was with her, because he would appreciate this so much. And it all fell apart because their inability to truly communicate what they were feeling versus just reacting and then assuming they knew what the other person was thinking or feeling. And I see this so much with so much mumbo jumbo on television, where the people aren't really communicating, they're just reacting, and they aren't really sharing what their true underlying feelings are. And then they get angry at each other, and I'm like, gosh, if we would just really say what we're really feeling versus blaming the other person for how we think we might be, we could have these deeper relationships. We could have deeper conversations where we actually are communicating, and we would be so much better for it. Even, if we take responsibility for our own anger, even if we don't know what it's from, or our own frustration, even if we aren't sure why we're frustrated so much or whatever. I think that we could have so much better relationships. So, I don't know, that's my thoughts so far.
I totally feel you there, Samantha. As I was saying before we started, I guess it was, I am finding so much resonance with all of Matt Kahn's teachings, and started his next new book, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I just am so frustrated at so many times, like in the excitement of the Avs last night. They didn't win, but everything that's happening just seems like an attack on myself or my idea of what I want to experience. But everything Matt Kahn is teaching about all this evolution that our society and our world is going through, to gain a higher ascension, I guess, transformation and evolution is just very discomforting. It's easy to be angry. It's easy to be shaken up. It's easy to be in whatever feeling you're having at the moment, and just trying to embody and integrate all of the stuff I'm learning about this wonderful expansion, trying to create more love in the world, because love conquers everything. It's what I'm understanding. It's what I've heard. It's what you've been taught in a lot of religions. Love is the greatest thing. And how do you embody that and express that and not let your emotions and your ego and your daily happenings interfere or rule the day? I'll stop for a minute here.
Did you want to jump out, Jason? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll hop out real quick. Yeah, I can appreciate what you're just saying there, Lori. Gosh, it is with the state of affairs and everything going on. Depending on what we're looking at and listening to, it can feel like we're under attack quite a bit, and it can seem easier to be in a bad state than it is to hold a good positive state. But I'd like to suggest that it's also, if you allow it, if you're open to it, it's also just as easy to just let all that stuff go and kind of clear your mind and kind of take back that control over our own thoughts. I love what you were saying in regards to that, Lori, and also I appreciate what you were saying too, Samantha, that you recognized, because we were doing this work, you recognized it for what it was, and then you were willing to communicate about it, think about it, and I agree. When we take the blame out of our communication, and we just take I guess it's an objective view, or where we kind of sit outside of the issues for a moment, or whatever it is, especially if it's an internal thought. We go and take a look at it without blaming others and without blaming ourselves. We can just have a bit better perspective, or a more accommodating perspective, where we are again free of that blame or judgment of ourselves, and allow ourselves to even reframe whatever it may be. Reframe it with, like if I get upset for no reason, or I'm get up on the wrong side of the bed, and I could maybe joke that, gosh, I'm really acting like I was just really acting like a brat or something, or I was just, pretty much, acting grumpy, a grumpy guy this morning or something. But we can totally change the energies of it, and I think that's what's really great about this this discussion group and the work that we do. That we learned that we are not only the receivers of these energies, we can also be the spark of these energies, and we can completely change the channel and retransmit whatever energy we want if we're just willing to do that. And there's nothing wrong with taking responsibility for these things, because it gives us control. It gives us, when you take responsibility, I feel like that gives you the power to do something about it. If we're not willing to look at ourselves and absent of judgment, but still take responsibility, then we're kind of we feel powerless, I think, at least for me. But yeah, I appreciate what you guys are saying. And I like how it ties in with this chapter on being honest with ourselves and each other.
That is a huge challenge there, to be totally honest when you're in my position where I'm retired and I've been through so much, and how to be honest about whatever it is, everything that's going on or that has gone on, when I've always wanted to be in control and have been so out of control. It's just, what the heck, what am I responsible for? What part do I play in this transformation? Because it's so hard. There's so much to deal with, your ego and your idea of what you want or what you don't want, and how you think things should go or should be. With every single human on this planet has their idea of all those things, and how you enmesh them together somehow to still make this beautiful life work. And I meant to say thank you for reading, Jason. That was awesome. It's hard not to feel like it's all just insanity.
I feel like that a lot sometimes, that it is just all complete insanity. And I'm like, does any of this even make any sense? Why does it feel like it's easier to be in anger and these grumpier emotions than to be in the happy ones? I don't get it. I don't, because we enjoy the happy ones, and we like the peace, and yet I feel like more often than not, I am not in the peace mode. I am not in the just all loving. I am, more often than not, I'm cranky and frustrated and confrontational and bossy, and and all of those things, and instead of being all just lovey-dovey, la la la, and it seems insane. It just seems like it's utter insanity more often than not. So I get it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the human race is just, we thrive on chaos, just absolute chaos. No matter how much we say we are annoyed by it, or we don't like it, or we are frustrated at it, or whatever, we keep wallowing in it. That's just where we end up. Whatever arises, we end up in this insanity. That's just complete chaos all the time. So
I like to think of it as that, it takes energy to kind of keep things together. And without directed energy to that goal, things can sort of spin out of control. It does take some focused energy to put ourselves back into a good mindset, but it can be done fairly easily once. And I've been learning how to do that recently, simply by doing a focus exercise where all I do is, and I've been, all you do is list out some simple general words that that uh, bring up good feelings, even if it's just like the word joy or laughter or family or community, things that you like, or you like more, you would like more of in your life. And you just, for everyone, I think it's a little bit different, or it can be different. But if you I found that just by, if I'm start thinking about something that is negative, and I'm just looking to kind of snap out of it, and I just start, like Matt Kahn's mantras that he's been telling us. It kind of works the same way, in that it kind of resets our mind and refocuses us on good, positive subject matter. And this is like just this really simple way to do it, but just saying love and joy and laughter and abundance and wealth and the good health and just kind of a little bit of dreaming, like a little bit of wishing it out there, putting it out there into the universe. But it's, I guess it works on that premise that if somebody mentions something like they mention something like a pink elephant, it's hard to not immediately picture a pink elephant, even though they don't even exist. But so when you throw this in front of yourself, you think about joy, you think about laughter, you might get a picture of yourself, enjoying a time with a friend, or children laughing and playing, or something like that. And just the thought snaps you out of what you're thinking about previously, or that mood that energy that might take over when we're absent of directed conscious thoughts. But I was just bringing that up because it can be as easy as that. But I found that even just doing those exercises, to begin with, was a little bit difficult, because I had to sit down and I had to think, what words give me a positive feeling. And since then, I've just been noticing the different ones and writing them down. So now I have like a page of them, and it's been helping. So maybe that helps. It'll help everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's great, Jason. And I was reading it's been a while ago. I read Tony Robbins' book, Awakening the Giant Within, and there was a section in there about your vocabulary and how you use words, and how the way that you use words can change how you feel. And so one of the things he was talking about is this event happened in his company, and he was there with his CEO and his VP and I don't know, a couple other people. And they were each expressing how they were feeling about the situation. And one of the guys was saying that he was furious, and the other one was saying that he was frustrated. And Tony was saying that, this is an annoying situation, or whatever. And he got to thinking about it afterwards. And as he was watching his people go about their reactions to the situation, the one that was furious was literally like storming around the room and yelling and screaming and saying how furious he was. And then the other guy, he was just like, oh, well, this is a little frustrating, but we'll get through it. Well, whatever, and he was like, it's all about, the words that you use have such a big impact on how you feel. So if you are in a situation where you could, it's like a road, it's like some people are road rage, that they go out and they're driving and someone cuts them off, and then they they're like yelling and screaming at him like they're the biggest asshole in the world for doing that. Then someone else is just like, well, that was unnecessary, you know, and that's a different feeling than yeah, it's like the word unnecessary versus the word say, I don't know, you that fucker. You know, I don't know, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, we all have these reactions, and then the words that we attach to them can either intensify or can calm you down. It's crazy how that works, and I think he was kind of alluding to something similar to that in that last section where he was talking about when you're communicating with someone and say you sit down and you hold their hands and you look in their eyes and you try and match your breath and then you try and communicate. So it's similar, even though it's not the words aspect. It's that connecting with a different emotion before you try and communicate. And you know, one thing I've noticed a lot in my relationship with my husband is that we will go through our days and you know, we won't have connected in any way. We won't have like hugged each other or touched each other in any way. And then, you know, at the end of the day, we're having these conversations and we're kind of like butting heads over the stupidest stuff. And if we just take a moment and just reach out, you know, it's like I put my hand on his shoulder or I'll hug him or you know, something along that lines, and we just have that moment that kind of brings us back into sync, if you will. And then our conversations are easier. It's like, okay, we have this connection, we're together, we're a team versus, you know, at each other's throats kind of a thing. So I can definitely see how that, I don't know that I would be the kind of person who would want to sit across from another person and hold their hand and just stare into their eyes, you know, no matter how much I love my husband, I don't see us doing that. But to, you know, if he's standing there and I come up and I put my arm around him and lean on him, that's what I'm feeling like is a moment of that connection, of that kind of bringing our auras into sync, if you will, or our just energy vibrational whatever into sync, so that we can, you know, remember we have that connection, I guess. So that was kind of a ramble of thoughts, wasn't it?
No, I think it made perfect sense to me, but it's one thing to have a husband or a spouse and a completely other one to just be coexisting with another person when you really don't see eye to eye, and circumstances in life kind of keep you in that position where you don't feel you have the control to go and change the situation. Even though we are very supportive and helpful for each other, and there's a lot of codependency in there on both parts, which is a really hard term to describe or understand. But I think just the effort of trying to make things work, or whatever, whoever and whatever the situation, is all part of the things that makes life go around. If every single thing is energy, how are we directing that energy? And how are we understanding it? And how are we absorbing it? Or reflecting it? It just all seems so overwhelming a lot of times. I was trying to get back to what you were saying, Jason, and I lost it for now.
No, that was great. I appreciate that. You were, and you bring up a great point because, we have, sometimes we're having interactions and trying to communicate better with people that we have a vested interest in, and they have a vested interest in us. And there's already that commonality and that kind of agreement that you want to work through certain things. But when you're trying to coexist with someone else that isn't on the same page with you, and a lot of times, working on the relationship doesn't come up until, or the thoughts of working on the relationship doesn't come up until there's a problem or an issue, and egos are inflamed, and energies are out of whack at that point. So I get that. Sometimes I think, and all I know is in those times is that we try to, a connection needs to be made, but it may not be able to be made at that moment. And sometimes we just need to remove ourselves from that energy, and that, so that we don't escalate things. So I do, we're like tuning forks, if a tuning fork would be, in the vicinity of a sound, and if it's a tuning fork that is tuned to a certain sound, and that sound is within that area, it will start vibrating to that sound that's created by something else. And we're kind of like that. We sort of take on that resonance. We're really good at taking on that resonance. In fact, we almost strive to try to do that and understand, like we think we can read people's minds to begin with. Like we try to read between the lines and all this other stuff when people are saying things. And sometimes that can kind of bite us in the butt, because we're not really getting the full picture, and we may be totally misreading them. But we're picking up on, and we might be picking up on an energy, and that energy can also be misread. But if our mind is void of the thoughts that if we're not purposely putting in good thoughts into our heads to create the right energy, then we're gonna pick up whatever energy is around us, or we're gonna create an energy from whatever mood or feeling we're feeling. So I'm not a morning person, so I'm groggy and grumpy, and just to tell people, don't talk to me until I've had my morning coffee, or till after my after first period, maybe sometime in the middle of the day. I don't know, but I just need that time to kind of figure out what's going on with me sometimes. But I've also noticed that lately with the exercise, if I can, as soon as I get out, especially since like I've been dealing with the passing of my father, and all the other stuff in the going on in the world that I might not agree with, and you do have all these different energies and thoughts and feelings, and I've been realizing that when I wake up, if I wake up the wrong side of the bed, kind of with the wrong thoughts, or maybe I think they're right and justified thoughts, where I'm like, yeah, these jerks did this to me, and it's still not helpful to me. It's not good to start my day that way. And so knowing that I can just start thinking about these phrases or these words and just focus on them has actually really helped me to get off on the right foot. And but you brought up something earlier too about that reminded me about like how we're not supposed to dwell on things, and again, putting blame on others for things that have happened in our lives really doesn't help either. But there's still this tendency and need, I feel like, at least for myself, to make sense of it all. Like, how did I get here? What's going on? Why did I get in this position, whatever it may be? And now I still kind of, and so now I don't try to dwell on it. I don't try to put blame on others, but I think it's important, at least for me, to kind of get it situated. Did this just happen? How did this occur? And then be like, okay, if the time comes up later, well, I have to deal with it, this will be my response. And then I let it go, and I don't continue to dwell on it. But at least I've come up with kind of made sense of it in my mind. I've figured out if it ever gets brought up so that I don't just knee-jerk react and lash out with, I've figured out what my response will be so that I will, and hopefully I'll remember it down the road if it ever comes up. But I've managed to just make sense of it, not hold blame or grudge or judge or, myself or others. But just so that I can move on and have a good solid understanding of what happened. And now I'm off to focusing again back on what I want to be happening, what the good things that I want in my life, and getting those good positive energies flowing, not just for myself, but for others as well. So sorry, that was long-winded, but thanks for listening, and thanks for being here today, guys. And shout out to Dan and everyone that couldn't be on today. And Catherine, miss you guys. Hope you're well and having a great weekend.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Jump out, Lori. I see you unmuted.
I was just gonna say to Jason, it's oh man, I'm telling you, this is one of those days that just everything seems to go the opposite or not the way you want.
That's okay. It'll come to you. I said a lot of stuff there, so.
No, we've all said a lot of things today.
Yeah, it's great.
It's.
Yeah, you had some good points.
Yeah, I don't want to start more since we have at the top of the hour.
That's okay.
Felt like that's all it was going to come out is more stuff we got to deal with. And it's like, with the whole world, so many things influencing us with the television and our cell phones and all that. And sitting here thinking I got to go to the store and get a new phone since it got ruined last night. But it's all cloudy and rainy and my only transportation is my scooter. So I'm subject to the weather. And it's just, maybe I'm just supposed to sit here and continue absorbing, but I have been absorbing so much from Matt that it's overwhelming itself. So I'm not sure which way to move today.
Sometimes I get stuck in as a consumption mode. Like I just consume and consume and consume, and then I realize, gosh, I need to switch over into being more of a producer, and start utilizing what I've learned, and just work on a project or something, or whatever it might be. But I'm it's just good to know, I think, that you're not alone. We're all facing, we're all experiencing a lot of the same things. So
this boat's on a rocky sea. That's what I think is. Don't know. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
On the high waves and in the deep valleys, and sometimes getting doused with water.
Yeah.
Like being on a river and it's all calm, and then all of a sudden you're in the rapids, and then you're going over a cliff. And then you land in a lake and it's all peaceful again.
Yeah. Or you go through the rapids and you turn the corner, and then it's just this quiet, nice, serene floating along all of a sudden. and then you sort of miss the rapids. You're like, "Oh,
Where is that part of the river? I can't seem to find it.
oh, it's just right around the corner."
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. How long have I been hearing that?
Hey, then you find out you're totally on the wrong river.
Oh, that's
The map upside down.
it.
Yeah.
Like in the Pirates of the Caribbean, where the ship is completely turned upside down and underwater and pops back up and everything's okay.
Yeah, it's all about perspective sometimes. When you mentioned the water, I go out, you know, I haven't been in a while, but I used to go out in the water all the time, and I always noticed that at first few splashes and sprays of water that you get are always disorienting and you know, irritating, and then eventually you're just like, well, I'm wet, and you start enjoying it, and you're like, you know, this is kind of why I'm out here, to enjoy this, you know, the elements, so to speak, and it's kind of like to be expected, you know. So gotta enjoy what we can when we can, and you know, find the good parts and good things within it. If you can't, then maybe use some tools to get the right positive attitude, I guess.
That's the whole thing. All this chaos and discombobulation. I still have such an immense appreciation for life and so much gratitude, and that's probably the top word on my list, Jason, is the gratitude. Gotta appreciate life and love these moments in nature and all that. So I don't know.
Oh, that's terrific. I love that. That's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Samantha's out in the water now. And she's growing arms. Hey there.
I don't know why that happened. That was weird. It just all of a sudden popped up. So, all right. I've been
Oh, yeah.
invaded.
What are you doing?
Mhm.
I just did this.
Say hi, guys.
It's after 9 o'clock, Grandma. We gotta go.
Okay, we got to wrap it up, guys. All right.
It's 11:11 here, so.
Yeah.
The kids rushing in. It's like, okay, time's up.
Right. Like, let's
Love
go.
you all.
Get back.
Love you too, Lori.
All right, guys.
Thanks for
We'll
that.
wrap up this live stream here real quick. If you're out there watching and you're interested in participating in this, then you can find us on Facebook. Just search for Mindset Mastery Collective, and you'll find our Facebook group there. We've got all the links to get in our meetings and all the replay links and all that kind of thing over there too. So with that, have a great day. We'll see you next week. Next week we'll be starting on what? Chapter 10? Chapter 10, the importance of slowing down.